Hi, Mommy. I'm just recording the podcast. Can I call you later? Yeah. Okay, bye.
That's the intro.
Hi, I'm Kayla.
And I'm Pete, and welcome to How I Hobby.
We're two pals and hobby obsessives with over 100 hobbies between us.
And we're always on the lookout for more.
Join us as we talk about all of our hobbies
And talk to people we know about their really cool hobbies.
Welcome to How I Hobby. In today's episode, we've got a great interview with Meg Possamai, who has a very spicy hobby. But first, Pete, how do you hobby?
I'll tell you how I hobby, Kayla.
Tell me.
I watch horror films.
Cool!
Yeah.
Pete.
Yes.
Okay, controversially,
Yeah.
watching films.
Yeah. Now, this is the distinctions. I was thinking about this. Why do I consider watching horror films a hobby?
Yeah.
And not watching films a hobby? Because I watch a lot of films.
Yeah.
Watch all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
Marvellous, no problem.
Yeah.
My favourite film is a romantic comedy.
Okay, which one?
The Apartment.
Okay.
Jack Lemmon and Shirley MacLaine.
Humble brag, yeah, your culture.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
gorgeous. But horror films I treat kind of differently because it's like I collect them. I'll pick a particular genre and like work my way through them, or like a franchise and like I have to watch all of them in that franchise.
Yeah.
Or you'll find there's a great community around it. So have you seen this one? No, I haven't. And it really is like collecting a certain sort of genre of film that I don't do with others. Like I don't seek out romantic comedies. I don't seek out I don't know, boxing movies,
Yeah, sci-fi.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But with horror I do.
That's cool. Because I think some people, throughout this podcast, some people have challenged me on, is that a hobby? Is that a hobby? That's just something that you do.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, for the Philistines out there, watching films, watching horror films, how do you qualify that as a hobby? You've mentioned the whole collection of things, which I think is really interesting. But how else would you describe it? Like intellectual stimulation, the creative, artistic nature of things? Like how else would you kind of describe this as a hobby?
So, as well as in a way that I don't do with other films, I will like read about horror films specifically and how they're made, about what goes in behind them.
Yeah.
I will go to like all night screenings of these things.
Yeah.
I will watch a film and then listen to interviews about them. There's a wonderful podcast that I subscribe to, The Evolution of Horror.
Ooh, we'll tag you, Evolution of Horror.
Definitely check it out. It's brilliant. They just go through whole bunches of horror films, subgenre by subgenre, and like every season I will like watch the film and then listen to the discussion on it and learn some more about it.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole Discord about it and meetups and all this sort of stuff where you get together and just discuss horror movies and our love for them and what they can do and all this sort of stuff. And like I say, I don't do that with films in general.
Yeah.
I don't listen to podcasts about films.
Yeah.
Unless it's like, if it's a specific film that I really like, then
fine.
I will because I love
But
it.
not a genre.
But not a genre. Whereas like horror films, I listen to several different podcasts about it.
Yeah.
I'll watch documentaries about it, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And so it is that. That's what I think lifts it from just an activity to an actual hobby.
Obsession.
Yeah.
Do you know what? The way you're describing it, I was going to say, you go down a rabbit hole. And then the reality is, any hobby that you and I have been talking about that we do, or people that we've interviewed, it is all about going down a rabbit hole in any type of way.
Totally. It's brilliant.
I love that. So, Pete, for our listeners, what is your favorite horror film?
The Shining.
No. Okay, great. Also, for our listeners, I cannot watch scary movies.
No?
So, I support that for you.
Excellent.
And with that, folks, let's go to our episode.
Woo!
Originally from the south of France, Meg Possamai now lives in London with her husband and two tiny children. During the workday, Meg can be found in the sales team of a super cool tech company. But by night, Meg is passionate about singing and learning languages. She speaks 5 of them. So Meg, tell us, how do you hobby?
Salsa.
Cool!
Oh, yeah!
Meg, that is awesome. Meg, how did you get into salsa?
A bit of background. I actually started dancing when I was 4, I started doing ballet. I did that for about 4 or 5 years. Then I started doing more modern dancing, like jazz and street dancing.
Cool.
And at that kind of point as well, the dance school that I was going with started giving salsa lessons. So probably when I was about 8, 9, and I tried it out and honestly loved it straight away. And then I kind of went into it and got out of it throughout like my life. I started again when I was 18 and then dropped it. And then I lived in Latin America for years. So it naturally kind of came back a bit socially. But I know I've heard a lot about COVID during your podcast. And I must say that during COVID, I said, when this stops, I'm going to do my passions and I'm going to go back to do salsa dancing. And so about 2 years ago, I started going more regularly to salsa.
Yeah.
And about a year and a half ago, really started dedicating a lot of time to it.
Oh my God.
So that is how I got into it.
I love it. There's a whole host of different types of salsa. So what type of salsa do you dance?
I dance mainly one which is called LA New York, which is, as a follower, you typically stay on a line always, whereas you've got other types of salsa like Cuban salsa, where you'll dance more in a rotational way. So I do a tiny bit of Cuban salsa, which I absolutely love, but mainly this line LA style salsa.
When you say you dedicate a lot of time to it, I mean, how often are you out dancing?
I do minimum 1 session a week, which is 3 to 4 hours. And I actually try and do 2 sessions when I have a good week and I have, time beyond the kids and work and things like that. So between 4 and 8 hours a week.
Cool. And then there's all the extra salsa dancing that you do in the kitchen where we all do our best dancing as well.
Yes, that's right. That's
Awesome.
right. Funnily enough, when it comes to, I think this is probably dancing in general, but specifically salsa dancing, because it's so based on the rhythm of the songs. It's not only like practicing at home, like you say in the kitchen, which I absolutely do, but also listening constantly to the music helps me become a better dancer.
Definitely.
Meg, what do your family and friends think about your hobby of salsa dancing?
So my husband's from Brazil. And I thought that getting married to a Brazilian guy, not wanting to stereotype or anything like that, but I thought there'd be some dancing involved, and there isn't. He does not like dancing. He loves music and playing music, but dancing, no. So he's very supportive of me, but he absolutely does not want to do it with me. And then my kids find it fun, but they don't really care about it much. And then friends and family, like kind of like you, Kayla, like find it fun and things like that. But it can be quite hard to bring people into dancing because people are a little bit more reserved and they feel like they might not want to do it. So it's hard to bring people into this hobby, unlike potentially other hobbies that I've had. But yeah, everyone's super supportive, finds it fun, is interested.
So quick one for you, because salsa, you can compete in there's competitions, there's different kind of levels. Like, do you have a hope with where this hobby will take you or where you'll take this hobby?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great.
Oh.
What is it? Tell us.
My aim before the end of my life is to compete, to get to a level where I can compete. Now, this may be a competition when I get to my nursing home and they do like, I don't know, nursing home like competitions, but I want to get to a level where I can compete, definitely.
Wonderful stuff. So what's your favorite thing about salsa dancing?
I mean, one of the things that I would say is my favorite thing that I've mentioned before is the music. The music, like especially Cuban salsa, is just amazing. The percussions, the different percussions that you've got in there, the different instruments, the lyrics, the feelings, the emotions behind it. I absolutely love the music. And I think it's hard to dance something where you don't like the music, which wouldn't really make sense. The second thing I would say is how you express feeling through your body, essentially through movement, and how you also connect with other people expressing something different on the same music. It's like a beautiful way of communicating with people. There's a great community of salsa dancers, regardless of the type of salsa that you dance, always looking to encourage each other and have these social moments as well. So I would say those are my top 3 things that I love about salsa.
there are like different stereotypes for professions, right? Like there are different stereotypes of the kind of doctor that you are. If you're a cardiologist versus you're an anesthesiologist, there's kind of different stereotypes of what that means. I'm wondering, Meg,
what's a stereotypical anesthesiologist?
I don't want to say because I don't want you to use that in our. But like,
I met an anesthesiologist last night.
Oh, cool.
He was the trumpet player on the gig.
Oh, cool. I feel like, don't put this in. This is off the record. But
This
I
is
think
going in.
This is off the record.
going
But I
in.
think anesthesiologists are maybe like a bit. My question is there a specific profile of a person that dances specific, like the different types of salsa, Meg? So like Cuban versus the type that you do, like what kind of people show up to the different kinds?
I know that people can be quite like religiously attached to a certain type of dancing, so they may, like poo-poo the other ones a little bit.
Okay, before you answer this, I think this segues nicely to this contentious topic between the two of you that's carried over since season 1.
Not at all. Not at all.
Oh, yes, I've been waiting for this, Pete.
Context for our strong listener base. In season 1, Pete shared his hobby of the Lindy Hop. Pete directly, whether it was intentional or not, unclear. But Pete slagged off salsa pretty hard. And I got a message from my friend Meg specifically outlining that she heard the hate coming from Pete. So,
I did not slag off salsa. I just said that personally, I'm not a fan. Not a fan of it. Specifically the music. It was the music. I'm just not. Yeah, I know. It just doesn't connect with me. That's the only problem. No problem with salsa or salsa people.
Okay.
But but I do apologise that I gave that impression. It was not intended at all. You're lovely. Salsa's lovely. Everybody dance whatever they like. It's great.
Okay, Meg.
Yes, I was very. No, I admit I was very rude about blues dancers in that episode.
Yeah,
because there are a lot of sleazy blues dancers around, and I stand by that.
I don't have any blues dancing friends to have communicated to me how disappointed they were to hear that. So I'm just wondering, Meg, was this a good enough rationale or explanation for you to continue a devoted listener to the podcast?
Even when I heard that, I was still on the next episode listening to Pete and Kayla. I don't think anything could break.
It's nothing but love. Nothing but love.
Exactly.
Fine.
Excellent. So tell us more about how you feel about the connection, the partner connection when you're doing that kind of a dance, and if that's different to if you do any solo dances, that kind of thing.
Particularly because these people are all strangers to you.
I don't know how it is when you do things like Lindy Hop, but within salsa, typically you rotate a lot of partners. It's not you come in with one. Is it the same with Lindy Hop?
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Yeah.
So yes, it is. I would say at the beginning, it's maybe a bit strange because like, whoa, this is like in my personal space, and you can have certain types of salsa. I also do bachata, which is a lot closer, like quite intimate. Yeah. And at the beginning, I'm a bit like, ooh, this is quite close for comfort. But as soon as the music comes on, it just becomes all about dancing. And it's so special, actually, especially as a follower, because I don't lead, so I don't really know what it would be like as a leader. But as a follower, it's so interesting to see the different interpretations and the different styles of the people who are leading you, how they interpret the music, how much freedom they give you, etc. And it's just, as I said before, and as you were saying, such a lovely way of expressing and like communicating through not words, but through your body and your movements.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love it more so than solo dancing.
So when I think of salsa, there's a very specific fashion that is surrounding that. So all we want to know is, do you wear the outfits when you go out dancing?
No, I don't. It's so boring. I wish I could wear the outfits, like those nice like ballroom dresses, but not yet. That will be when I get to the competing mode and I can wear those.
But also high heels. Do you have to wear heels?
Yes. I do dance in heels. When I've done more Cuban style salsa, I feel like people are a bit more chilled. Cuban salsa seems just more chilled in general, whereas this LA line type of dance is a bit more formal, a bit more ballroom dancey, I would say. So we wear heels.
Cool.
So, Meg, you've got hobbies, your husband's got hobbies, and you've both got kids. So how do you balance everything?
So it took us some time to figure that out, especially with COVID in the middle of everything. But at some point, we decided that we needed to make time for ourselves as individuals as well. So we made sure that each week we carve out a night where I have time to dedicate to my hobbies, a night where he has time to dedicate to his hobbies, a night also where we've got time to spend together. And so we just make sure that we have that time every week. And that is how we decided to manage it, because we decided that it was so important for us to have space as individuals as well, and to, as I said before, make our dreams come true.
Excellent.
Meg, please tell us, what has your hobby taught you about yourself and life?
I love that question. I love that question every time you ask it to other people as well, because I find it so inspiring. And I think that what I've learned about my hobby is, firstly, that regardless of what you've got going on in your life, there's always time, if you want to dedicate time to following your dreams, following your passions. 6 hours a week is a lot. But on top of children, on top of my work, on top of singing as well, which I do, I love salsa, and I can definitely carve out time to become better and do what I want to do. So that would be the first big thing that I've learned throughout this year and a half, is that definitely you can make time for the things you want to do. And the second one is, which is a bit random, and I recently learned this. I always thought I was the type of person who could only learn through doing. So I would watch someone do it, and then I have to do it and redo it for the muscle memory. But I have learned that actually I can learn through watching.
Oh, interesting.
And the more that I've watched people dancing, whether that's on videos, in social dancing, I actually managed to replicate things, and I've become a better dancer for watching as well. So I thought that was an interesting one that I recently learned.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
And I think because I've been into rock climbing and swimming recently, right? And I've been going down the rabbit hole on Instagram of all of these people talking about tips for swimming or how to crack this thing in climbing. And I also am often a learn by doing. But exploring this learn by watching is because there's so much content out there too, right? So whether it's online or in person, that is so cool, Meg.
Yeah.
That is cool.
Excellent stuff. All right, so Meg, you've got 30 seconds to convince us. Why should people try your hobby?
Okay. I would say, if you're looking to meet cool people, to listen to some nice music with lovely percussions, and also stay active, gain confidence, and learn something new, you've got to try salsa. Salsa's just the best.
Sold.
Excellent.
Sold in the most succinct way. I think maybe, Pete, would you expand
Do you
your
know
mind
what? I
to
would.
salsa?
Of course I would. Of course I would. I will give salsa a go.
I'm going to keep you honest on that, Pete.
So, Meg, that was wicked. That was so cool to hear you talk about salsa. I think one of the things that was so interesting is about using your body as a tool for communication is really cool. And I think the other piece is around prioritization. And there's always time to do things that you enjoy. You can always create and make the time and the space to do that. So I think that's a really nice reminder for ourselves. I loved that. Thank you.
Yeah. To try and make time for yourself.
Yeah, I think you had said you can always find time to follow your dreams, which is a beautiful strap line.
That's it.
It's a beautiful strap line.
Getting that on a sticker.
Getting that on the sticker. The other thing too was about learning by doing or watching. I think that's really cool, and it's something that I've thought a lot about. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was someone in series 2 of Heroes who used to do that. They'd watch YouTube videos and be able to do whatever they saw. It was awesome.
What is Heroes?
Heroes.
The TV show.
It was great. Yeah.
Oh.
First series was great. Second series hit by the writer's strike, and then went downhill.
Pete, careful, because we might get more hate mail about this if you keep slagging things off.
I'm not slagging off. There is no one who will disagree with me that Heroes went downhill after series 2.
All right. Well, maybe that will be an offshoot.
Check out series 1. It's great. Save the cheerleader, save the world.
Amazing. Okay, Meg, thank you so much. This was fab. You're amazing. We've absolutely loved having you, and we can't wait for this episode to come out. Toodles!
Thank you. Toodles.
Bye.
Bye.
That was our interview with Meg Possamai. We had a blast. Hope you did too.
But before we go, we want to share this week's celebrity hobby. Drum roll.
Did you know Jennifer Garner plays the saxophone?
Oh my God, that's wicked. I love it.
Really sweet.
And that's a wrap.
I've been Pete.
And I've been Kayla.
Rate and review us wherever you get your podcasts. It makes us much easier to find.
And follow us on Instagram at howihobby.
Did you know we also have a newsletter?
I did. Subscribe for new episodes and behind the scenes chat.
See you next time.
Toodles.
How I Hobby was written and produced by Kayla Lean and Pete Falconer, with music and editing by Pete Falconer, artwork by Laura Walsh, and animation by Kayla Lean. If you'd like to be featured on the show, email us at howihobby@gmail.com, follow us on Instagram at howihobby, or sign up to our mailing list at howihobby.com.